Okay, so hi everybody, and welcome to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Let's Play series, part 163 of this series. I guess you could consider this part 164, since technically the live stream did show some Let's Play, some duels, within the, what was it? Was an ally of justice. Oh yeah, Boojins. It showed the duels for the Boojins solo mode gate at the very end. I didn't do any of the lore though, so you didn't miss out on any of the lore. Because I know people might be a little bit more upset if I did lore during live streams. So I might not do lore during live streams, but I might use live streams as a way to get the duels done. So that because like those are the things that are gonna take maybe the longest. I don't know, they're all about the same, I think, but like it does add up. Like it adds up, definitely. So yeah. Especially maybe when I'm playing like a little bit worse version of the deck, like in the my deck duels. And if anyone like wants like me to do maybe other things with the my deck duels, like other kind of challenges to get done with, maybe I would be willing to. But I don't really want to craft a bunch of really expensive cards for it. I could maybe try some other challenges like all rare version of the deck. I can only like use the cards for that archetype that are like normals or rares, like um something like that. Could be fun. Anyway, and maybe like based on like cards I already have, which is quite a bit. Maybe I could do something with them. I know I already have a lot of the hand traps and stuff, but I'm not sure what I could do there with the, because like if I make the deck too good, it just makes the duel too easy, and I don't really want to just like just win just because I was playing a really easy to defeat the opponent with deck. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, maybe I could try the only knows or rares though, because that would definitely be easy, and I definitely wouldn't mind crafting cards I don't have that are like of the normal or rare quality. Anyway, and maybe I could even do hybrids of like that deck with an archetype that hasn't been shown, though that might get into a little bit of my CP supply, so that again. But maybe if enough people want me to, maybe I could. I don't know, like I don't really want to cut into my CP supply since I'm not really since I'm only playing on one account. This is just my main account anyway, and I'm not really spending money on gems, so I don't always have like the largest gem supply. So yeah. Yeah, just when I get back into it, just gives you something to think about. Anyway, I'm gonna go through the intro now. I guess I kind of forgot about it for a second, but I'll just go through it now as I'm showing you the news. So the Duelist Cup is over, by the way, but I don't think the survey gives you anything. But I guess I can go through the survey while I'm doing the intro. Please like, share, and subscribe, and consider ringing. I guess it's about in the middle. It's a little short, I think. Like, especially when they like want you to like duel like a whole bunch of times. Sometimes you just feel like you gotta like kind of like cheat it with a deck that you can. But this actually reminds me, I'm gonna show you a deck real quick that like you can use like if you're running out of time, maybe trying to get the duels in real quick before it ends. I wasn't able to even with that deck, but I'm not sure if they show mandatory before. That's pretty cool. But yeah, at least I think I made more progress than I would have made just playing the live twins. But might have made more gems just like ranking up one more time with the live twins. I don't know if I made the right decision or not, but I guess I was kind of curious, like if I would be able to do it with this faster deck. If I would have had like 3 hours. But I still think it probably gets you duels and faster and live twins. Maybe even gets you spells or traps and faster and live twins. Since like those were the missions I had left to complete. Generally the duels aren't too bad for the Duelist Cup anyway, so like they're not as like specific, which is probably best because like this isn't supposed to be like the event festival with like interesting missions, like specific kind of missions like fusion summoning, exceed summoning, stuff like that. It's supposed to be just more general missions anyway, because it's a more generalized event. They don't really want it getting in the way with people trying to like get high in the event, in the festival. I mean, nah, this is Duelist Cup. It's not a festival. Anyway, yeah, so please like, share, and subscribe if you are enjoying my content. I really hope those who came to the live stream enjoyed it. Good news, I got the highest view count on both, so that's pretty nice. The part 1 had more views than part 2, and I think it makes sense because part 1 was a lot shorter. But I did get a few unique likes, I think at least on part 2, so that was pretty nice. Thank you for whoever liked. I didn't actually say it during the live stream, but I didn't realize that I wouldn't be able to see it unless I like refresh or something. So next time, if you want me to like shout you out for liking or subscribing during the live stream, you're gonna have to like say something in the comments. I didn't get any comments though, but like maybe next time, since I'm gonna be doing these live streams more often, not just since they went so well, I'll do them more often. I'm pretty sure the syncing should be good. So I'm gonna do them more often, and I'm gonna do a poll to like about how I should be doing these live streams. About if maybe a few could be on different games, how often I should be doing it, once or twice a month. I think max, for now will be twice a month, and I'm gonna see how that is. Especially if I'm sometimes gonna make a few long live streams, which I might. But I think a lot of the live streams, if I do Master Duel, will probably be about the with the solo mode. But the nice thing about live stream is, since I have a little bit more time, since I'm not as limited, since unlike with a regular video, it PlayStation doesn't just cut me off at an hour, where like it's kind of hard to like well, I think it starts cutting if you do if you go over an hour. Yeah, it starts cutting if you go over an hour. It cuts from the beginning if you go over an hour. So I can't be going over an hour with that, but I can with the live streams, because it's pretty nice. Like since when I broadcast gameplay, like I think PlayStation pretty much lets me go as long as I want, so that's really nice. So that means I can like have more time to experiment with some things as well, which is pretty nice. So not only can I be doing solo mode, getting solo mode done a bit quicker, but I can also do experiments, like maybe show off mates that people want to see, like if there's a certain mate they want to see, because maybe they're not sure if they should get it or not. I mean, even if it's a mate that I don't own, I'd be more than willing to buy mates, because I don't really mind buying mates, like accessories, like pretty much always buying the accessories, since that with those I know exactly what I'm getting, so it's not like there's a random factor when it comes to buying mates. So I don't mind buying things with gems that I know exactly what I'm getting. And if anyone maybe wants to like me to try out some kind of like structure deck duels where I use 3 of the structure deck and see how good it is, I can do that too, maybe during live streams. All of this stuff can be during live streams. I probably won't make regular videos on these kinds of things, but these kinds of things I can do during live streams. And if I have to make it a little bit longer to make room for some of this extra stuff, then I certainly can. I'm not sure if I want to go much longer than 3 to 4 hours, though. I think that's probably going to be my cutoff, 3 to 4 hours. Probably trying to keep them close to 3 hours. Especially if like I'm pretty much only doing the solo mode and then maybe a few of my own experiments. If I think of something that I wasn't sure about, so yeah, if you subscribe, you can get you can then click the bell and get notified of stuff like that. Or if you don't really want to get notified of my live streams and just the regular videos, that might be one of the ways that personalized does work. And since I'm going to be doing more live streams, you might want to do personalized, or you can do personalized if you want to be notified of only stuff coming from a specific playlist, since I'm starting to put more videos into specific playlists. But that might also keep you from like seeing as many live stream notifications also. But if they notify you right away, yeah, maybe it's based on like the kind of video, like if it's like, because they don't know what playlist is going to be on until after the video, but then they might still notify you after the fact. So I'm not exactly sure how it works, but yeah, personalized is better if you want to feel more in control. And then none is good if you're just trying to help me out, or you're taking a break, or you're waiting for a game. I might, depending on the results of the pool though, I might get to a game sooner than expected. And I mean, with a live stream, I'd probably get to a game sooner than expected anyway, since I'm going to be doing, at least doing like solo mode duels during some of the live streams. So that's pretty cool. My goal was, I wish there was one that said my goal was to claim all the missions. Yeah. Yeah, too bad they don't have one that says I did it because I wanted to claim all the missions. Yeah. I'll just do that one. Okay. And then as for the verse for today's video is, "The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in him and he helps me. My heart leaps for joy, and with my song I praise him." Psalms 28:7, and that comes from the New International Version translation. I'll be going through the verse discussion more towards the end, as always. Okay. And I decided to change a few things, if anyone noticed before. But I decided to change a few things, like the goblins. I decided to change the wallpaper. And I also decided to change my icon frame. Since I'm not really using much of Melfi's anymore, I decided to change the inside to a trophy, which I think kind of looks kind of cool with the snow falling down. It kind of seems to fit a little bit. And the whole like frost thing kind of fits alongside the live twins, which I'm starting to play a bit more of. Not really playing much of the Melfi engine anymore. But I'm still definitely having the totally awesome mate, because I'm never gonna give up on the frogs. Like, and I think the frog engine actually worked kind of well with the live twins, because like if you like get the blue and a live twin, like And I mean, typically, if you don't get a live twin, but you get the sprite engine going, like, you're probably not going to care too much about going into a live twin later on. Since I didn't realize, like, they're pretty much, like, best effect that allows them to get out a live twin, like, of the different name. Like, Lila brings out Kaseko, Kaseko gets out Lila. You can only do that if it's the first summon you do, because you need to have no other monsters. So, yeah, that is something. Which is also the reason why a lot of people like to max out on the number of copies they have of both. And I decided to also include the secret password, since I realized that, like, a lot of, like, I want to kind of be seeing either one of these a lot more. And this is kind of just like 2 extra copies of the Sunny Snitch, so it's kind of like I have 4. You don't need to worry about, like, the evil twin, adding an evil twin. I think what they're referring to there is the level 8 one that doesn't really get played very much. Yeah, they're probably talking about this one. This is only main deck evil twin monster. Like, you won't be able to get out the live twin monsters with this, but it's probably for the best anyway, since you're probably wanting to search Sunny Snitch anyway. Then you can, because Sunny Snitch can already get out the live twin for you. So you don't need to worry about secret password unless you're playing the level 8 one, but typically you don't really want to that much. It is kind of a heavy cost, so you have to tribute 2 links. It's not bad. You could technically play it, especially if you're playing the secret password, but I mean, you can't bring this out going first, because you're probably always going to be locking you either through yourself through the effect of Sprite Starter or Gigantic. Oh yeah, and another thing is, once again, I can't lock my opponent from being able to play Nibiru at all, which can be kind of helpful sometimes in case they do happen to be on Nibiru, because I can definitely get my Gigantic summon and lock before the 5th summon. By not playing Sprite Sprint, and it's still not a bad end board most of the time, especially if I get the live twin engine and then later on I can get the blue engine. But if I just get the sprites and I can't do the live twin first thing, I'm typically just going to use Gigantic Sprite to bring out the swap instead, because it makes it a little, because not getting this out first thing makes it kind of hard to bring out the other one. And you kind of do want to make sure both are in the graveyard so that the link can bring them out. Because the thing about the links is they do need it would be a little bit nicer if you could, like, bring out the Lila, if they said, like, the different named monster, like if this called for Kaseko instead of Lila, and then this called for Lila instead of Kaseko. But the fact that they call for their own named live twin monster, which I guess makes lore sense also, but it also makes it so that you already need to have had the Lila through other means so you can get them from the graveyard, and then you can go into the other link. If that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Which is why, like, you kind of do need to rely on, like, the main deck bringing out the other main deck monster. And then also, if you have Snitch, another thing is, if you have Snitch and you have Lila in your hand, don't normal summon the Lila and bring out the Kiseko Frost with it. Usually you do want to special summon Kiseko Frost with the Lilla, but if you have Snitch or you have Secret Password, don't don't use the Lilla to bring out the Kiseko Frost. Instead, what you want to do is you want to add the Kiseko Frost to your hand through the effect of Sunny Snitch, so you can get an extra special summon later on. And you can just bring out the regular Kiseko with the Lilla. So yeah. Of course, if you have like Kiseko, pretty much your only target is going to be the Lilla, unless you are happening to play Lilla Treat, which isn't generally as good, I would say. I guess it's kind of nice for reducing attack, but that's generally not as important as just straight up drawing a card. Oh yeah, another thing, you kind of, you don't, if your opponent is playing Max C, you don't want to banish this card preemptively. They're probably going to be eventually searching later on. So maybe like if you don't need it later on, like if you already use it for its purpose. But I kind of made that mistake once, and then they drew a card off of a Max C while I was still doing my special summons, and I couldn't really go into much else because I no longer had a Kiseko in my grave to summon off the Lilla, so that kind of stink a little bit. Yeah. And one important thing to note if you're trying to make this deck, as a reminder, the Trouble Sunny is not available through regular secret packs. Maybe they will update the Evil Twin secret pack later on so it is contained in there, but right now it's not. Speaking of secret packs though, I did test the Sword Soul in the live stream, the second part, as I said I would, and I was actually pleasantly surprised that like I can still craft a card for that secret pack and still get a free pull. I'm not sure if I did open my free pull when it was available through the shop for a while, but yeah, I think you can craft a card and still get that free pull, even if you got that free pull when it was available for like 30 days, because like they like added in just recently or like updated the secret pack. So which I guess makes sense, because like if you already like crafted the secret pack that gets updated later on, like if the Live Twin secret pack or Evil Twin secret pack gets updated later on to include Trouble Sunny, it's going to be in the shop for 30 days and give you a free pull, and you should still have that free pull even if you like did the free pull before it was updated. I guess that makes sense, because otherwise it might be kind of unfair, like if you didn't have a chance to get that free pull before it got updated a little bit. Like they still want you to make sure you have like 2 different ways to get a free pull. Just remember, if you craft a card while it's in the shop for 30 days, they won't give you another free pull that way, since it has to be like triggered. There has to be a trigger event in order for a free pull to happen. It has to actually appear, and if it's already there, like they won't just say, oh, you get another free pull for crafting a card from this. You want to wait until after they're gone and then craft a card from it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure like unless I was mistaken and the Sword Soul pack I didn't get a free pull out of, but since it was an older one, I'm pretty sure I would have. And I know Sword Soul was one that they did introduce a shop for like 30 days. It was because it was previously only available through selection pack, those cards. So that's how I remember. So yeah. If anyone has any other questions, I can maybe explain it better within the comments. Hopefully I did a pretty good job though. But now that I'm done with that, I want to show you the deck that I use for like drying out the missions if I'm running out down on time. It's unfortunate that I couldn't make the whole deck hollow, but I couldn't really think of a card of 2 cards to replace a point of the Red Lotus with, so I just decided to use Upstart Goblin instead, since this can kind of just act as a way to get me into my other self-burn cards. So I mean, again, like Upstart Goblin, like especially it's nice that it's not a hard once per turn. So that means if I open 2, like it just cycles 2 cards deep at pretty much all times. And if I don't need them, I don't need them. But typically I probably will just activate it, because I don't really care about how many life points my opponent has with this deck. I'm just trying to get my life points down to 0, because there's probably no way I'm going to be OTKing them. Oh yeah, but like as for the rest of this deck, I was able to get it all hollowed out. All of the rares and normals that the deck has, I was able to get it all hollowed out. I would have been able to do the whole deck if opponent wasn't banned though. But it was unfortunate that was. But this is pretty much a deck except for the pointer being I replaced Upstart Goblin with it since the pointer was banned. But it's still pretty much the same deck, and maybe you could like think of some other swaps for Upstart. I just couldn't really think of anything, so I'm sorry that it's not exactly budget, but maybe someone can help me think of like budget alternatives to the Upstart Goblin. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you could like do. You don't want to do any cards that say draw a card and then draw a card and then neither player takes damage. So you don't want to have 1 day of peace, otherwise the whole burn aspect won't really work out. You can still pay for things, but you just can't like burn yourself. And you don't want to if you're replacing the upstarts, you probably want to replace them with like spells and traps, since you want mostly spells and traps, not just because you typically are only able to like normal summon a monster, and this is the only one that can like actually special summon itself. Another reason why you want mostly spells and traps, besides the fact that you can like activate multiples instead of just like normal summoning one monster, it's because Destruction of Destiny won't whiff as much. So most of the time you're able to get the full 3000 self burn off of the Destruction of Destiny when you happen to draw into that. Now this deck, maybe you could also play some of the dangers as like a way to like draw more cards. Actually, yeah, maybe you could just play I mean, it does kind of stink that, like, you may discard something you don't really want to discard. But I guess you could technically play the one that kind of acts as a budget. I think it's this one. This kind of just acts as a budget Dark World Dealings. So this one might be a pretty good substitute for the Upstart. But I think like if you don't want to play Upstart, maybe you could play Pot of Xayahs. I guess, yeah, you could play Pot of Xayahs since you're not really caring too much about what you're banishing, since you probably are wanting to like win pretty quickly anyway. You're definitely, if you banish a few cards to get 2 extra draws, actually Pot of Xayahs might be a little bit better, but the only downside of Pot of Xayahs, actually, maybe if you really wanted to, which might actually be a good idea for me now that I think about it for next time, I think a good way to play it would be to play 1 Pot of Xayahs. Oh, actually, and then maybe Pot of Prosperity. So Paw of Zaya's, I don't think you can play Pot of Extravagance. I think Pot of Extravagance does get in the way. See, that's the downside of the pots. Like, playing more than one pots kind of makes them get in the way of each other. You can only play one Pot of Zaya's anyway. Or, wait, no, you can play two, but if you play two, the only downside of this is if you happen to draw into two of these, you're not gonna really be able to get to activate the second one. But that's probably gonna happen barely. So maybe you could just play two instead of the Upstart Goblin. I would say if you are on Upstart, definitely just play Paw of Zaya's as a second one. And also another nice thing is, like, unlike a few of the other pot cards, this doesn't let you keep from drawing off of other effects, which you don't really want to play the pots that keep you drawing off of other effects, because like then it kind of turns off a 4 maple popper up, which is a good self burn. Like the ones that self burn you are pretty nice, rather than like pay like a specific amount of life points, because eventually you might get to a point where you can't pay and they won't let you pay in order to kill yourself. Like, I think like they would let you pay if you had exactly enough, and you could still suicide with like through paying life points. But most of the time you're just like, these are less good than like ones that just burn you for damage, because those will allow you to play them even if like the burn you would take is higher than your life points. Whereas with the pay one, you can't pay those life points if you don't have enough. It's just pretty unfortunate. Yeah, so Pot of Extravagance and also Pot of Prosperity. The unfortunate thing about those pot cards is that they both require you to give up on drawing for the rest of the turn. At least with Pot of Prosperity, you don't have to do it first thing. But yeah, it still makes it so they have to give up on drawing. Unfortunate. But yeah, this is how I would do it. Upstart pot with the Paw of Zaya's. Maybe Dark World Dealings, but I don't really like how you have to like discard a card afterwards. It's probably not too big of a deal though, if you have to discard a card afterwards. This is kind of like a Dark World Dealings in a way, like if you just choose to discard one. But the nice thing about this is you can also send 3, like if you don't really like 3 of the cards in your hand and you want to try to get more like self-burn ones that are better for you. Or maybe if you have a pop-up, like just make sure, like just realize that like I think pop-up is the only one that is unfortunately hard once per turn. So yeah, I actually think Paw of Zaya's is better than a second Upstart anyway, because Paw of Zaya's gets you into 2 draws, while Upstart only gets you into 1. And the whole banishing 10 cards on the top of your deck literally doesn't matter. Since you're not really gonna care about saying all of your deck anyway. There's no cards that you don't care about banishing face down. And you probably wouldn't be seeing them much anyway, since you're hoping to for this deck for yourself to lose either on the first turn, like in like basically on the first turn you do go, or if nothing else for your opponent to help finish you off, which it's kind of annoying sometimes having to rely on that, because sometimes opponents like to mess with you. Maybe on purpose, maybe not. It's also kind of nice that I happen to have a foil Paw of Zaya's. It gets me closer to all foil deck, but I don't think I'm gonna care to get Upstart Goblin foil since it's a UR. Maybe if I had a foil Dark World Dealings, just because I want an all foil deck, but I don't think I do. Only thing about Dark World dealings is you might not want to necessarily have to get rid of a card in your hand afterwards. Yeah, it's not foil anyway. Pa's Eyes is just nice since like you get to draw 2 cards off of this instead of just 1. I would still say play 1 unless you really want to play 2 because you don't have the Upstart Goblin. Or if the Upstart Goblin ever gets banned, maybe like Pa's Eyes could be an alternative choice. Unless they add in another card that can like self-burn you, but they don't typically do that too much. So this deck's probably not going to be changing very much. Which is another good reason why I decided I might as well try to get them all holo, which I was able to get mostly on all on holo. Except for the Upstart, which is a little annoying, but whatever. But every other card I did get holo, including the Pa's Eyes, which I happen to have a holo one of. Not bad. I had to like disenchant a bunch of like rares and normals. And even with like 11,000 CPN and like 10,000 CP rare, like it still took me most of that to get all the holos. Like just showing you how hard it can be. Like it's so random. Like some of these I have like over 100 now because it took that long to get 3 holos of this card. I got this to 99 because it took that long to get all holos of. Even some of the rares like took a little bit. Like Fairy Wind I got to 40. I think I got a little bit luckier with the rares. Also there's not as many rares, which is pretty nice. 67, kind of crazy. 36, not too bad. Yeah. And sometimes you just get lucky with like the Trouble Sunny and like your very first craft of the card is holo. Or maybe even get lucky and not sure if I crafted I think I got the Royal Finish Gigantic Sprite from the pack. From the Sprite pack when it was still available. I don't think I would have crafted that. I don't typically craft URs or SRs unless they can only be found in the Master Pack. Like, I even said no to the Smoked Mosquito even though that can only be found in the Legacy Pack. I'll be able to find that at some point in the Legacy Pack. But since I never opened Master Pack exclusive cards, I don't really mind too much crafting. And it's probably gonna be a while before the that Live Twin Link gets introduced in the Live Twin Secret Pack anyway. That Evil Twin, the Trouble Sunny. Even though I kind of barely go into that, like it can still prove useful sometimes. Just like with the Griffin, I barely go into that. I barely go into the IP Masquerade a lot of times, but they might prove useful at some point. I guess that is maybe one of the downsides of the Evil Twins. It's so easy to not be able to go into the IP Masquerade. There might be a way to go into the IP Masquerade and then afterwards go into one of the Live Twins links, but I think most of the time you just cut your losses and just accept that the Live Twin links on once they do their whole special and effect, you can't go into anything except Fiendlings, which is also something to keep note of. Don't go into Live Twin links first thing, or else you're just gonna be locked off of like non-Fiend X deck plays, which is like most of your the rest of your X deck. It's gonna lock you from all those Sprite plays. It even locks you from Gigantic Sprite since it's any X deck. No X deck except Fiends. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I would say if a pointer ever gets introduced again, you could just remove the upstart for the one of a pointer that you can have. If it goes back to 2, I'm not sure. Like, I kind of like Pa's Eyes because it gives you access to 2 more cards, whereas if you just like, so might be worth even just ridding yourself of one of one self-burn card to play one Parzaz. You could technically rid yourself of two. You could rid yourself of a few other cards to play some extra Upstart Goblins even. Since Upstart Goblin can be useful with the chain energy, I think it's called, the one that like makes it so that you pay so that both players pay 5 in life points to set or activate cards or like normal or summon monsters from their hand. If you set a normal spell and then you activate it later, it's still just gonna be 500 because it's only when you activate a card from your hand. So it's not when you activate a card from the field. When a player activates a card from the field. I guess in a way it can also kind of keep the opponent from doing too much on their turn. If also, so it may make them want to go into the battle phase a little sooner. So which can maybe be a good thing if you weren't able to OTK yourself right away before your opponent started making plays, or if. But I think like even if like you have to have your opponent finish you off, I think like it might just be better to suck it up and let that happen. Or if you're going second, just suck it up and like just go second. I think that might be better than just like trying to like concede a bunch until you can go first again. Until you can go first. Because even if you go first, you might not be able to self-FTK yourself right away either. Self-burn yourself to death right away. So, one thing to note about the deck though, like with that Lucky Punch, you want to save the Twin Twisters for that Lucky Punch if you happen to draw both. Since you can just activate the Lucky Punch, and then you can activate Twin Twisters to destroy it, and then you get hit with 6,000 burn damage, which most of the time that's probably gonna be enough. Like because like it's only like 1,500 of burn damage that you had to inflict yourself before then. You won't always be getting that kind of hand, but like when you do, you don't want to just waste the Twister card. You want to use it for that Lucky Punch specifically. Otherwise, if you don't draw into the Lucky Punch, but you do draw into a Twister, you can just use it on like a normal spell that you activate. Don't try to use it to destroy your own chain energy though, because you kind of want to keep that up, not only for like maybe like kind of like quote unquote burning yourself a little bit for every card that you like activate a set, but also maybe it like helps speed up your opponent's turn because it's also like quote unquote burning them. And it's nice that it stacks. It's nice that if you have more than one, it stacks. Like the only card that like you don't really need multiples of is like Pop-Up. But if you do get 2 Pop-Ups in hand, I forgot that was a hard once per turn. But if you do get 2 Pop-Ups in hand, luckily there, you can just activate 1 Pop-Up and get rid of the other Pop-Up in hand. And maybe 2 other cards if you really want. Maybe like a Pop-Up and like if you have like more than 1 monster that can only be normal summon. Like the Giant Kozaki and the Majestic Mech, for example, you could get rid of the Pop-Up and the Majestic Mech to draw 2. Since that other Pop-Up won't be doing you any good, because you're typically not carrying, you're probably not getting to your next turn anyway. You're wanting to be dead before then. So typically, like, that's not a bad thing doing. And then you get to see 2 fresh cards. Since, like, the Majestic Mech would also not be doing anything for you since you're summoning the Giant Kozaki instead. If you have both a Giant Kozaki and a Majestic Mech in hand, keep the Kozaki instead of the Majestic Mech. because there's 100 more, 100 extra burn to you, 100 extra self burn. Unless maybe like you could summon the majestic mech and like attack into a really high defense monster on your opponent's field. That would be the only reason you would rather summon the majestic mech than the Kazaki. Yeah. And you always want to special summon the Garbage Lord in attack also. Yeah. If anyone has any other questions about the deck, this wasn't directly from me. This was just from a really old video back when Opponent was actually not banned yet. But it still works. Like, the missions are pretty much kept the same all the time for Duelist Cup. So, it should pretty much always work. But I'll let you know if it ever doesn't. And maybe I can come up with something else. Maybe I can, like, if no one has come up with anything yet. And then solo mode. Okay, let's get into the... Guess we can get into this one. Actually, I'll do the ending scenario for the Bujins first. So, once they returned to Takamagahara, what the three Bujente saw was Harume consumed by hatred due to the miasma. By the mighty power of the Dark Princess Goddess, the Bujingi that were loaned to the Bujente were returned to their rightful owner. Then, the soft light that the weapons emitted at all times turned black, as if ink was spilled upon them. Harume equipped them to descend as Amaterasu, the supreme goddess of darkness. The benevolent light that once emanated from her body was lost, and the world was plunged into darkness as if in a solar eclipse. The battle for the fate of heaven and earth has begun. The fierce battle took a toll on Takamagahara itself as well. The three Bujente who lost their weapons, Keelan, Peacock, and Crow, struggled as they tried to fight their way through. They were greatly reduced in power before the battle, but they have not lost their fighting spirit. Each of the Bujente had their own divine sword, Crane, Ibis, and Swallow. Together they launch a counterattack. Finally, a slash by Susanoo, entrusted with the power of the sacred sword, splits the darkness in half. Amaterasu fell, and the miasma that infected the blackened Bujingi was also vanquished. Thus, Haruko's ambitions that entangled heaven and earth had been crushed. But to the gods of Takamagahara, much remained to be done. The reconstruction of Takamagahara and salvation of the earth. A new battle was about to begin to fulfill their godly duties. Yeah, if you guys want to see the duels I did in the live stream, at some point I will put on a timestamp of when I actually have done the duels. I'm probably not going to do an individual timestamp for each duel, though. So, but I will put a timestamp in when I start the solo mode section in the live stream. for those who want to have seen the Bujin duels. It's only the Bujin duels I did, the 3 duels for this Bujin gate. So if you guys are interested to see duels with the Bujin cards and with a few of the Bujin cards with other archetypes, feel free to check out that timestamp when I do eventually put it on. Like, it may be a little bit before I do, but eventually I'll get to that. So here's the Bujin secret pack, by the way. Some of these can be kind of useful with the Fire Kings as well, which will be nice once the Fire Kings got new support. I'm not sure if the new support will use these, but Kagetsuchi is a pretty useful card for rank 4 Beast Warrior decks, since it is pretty generic there. And then this one might be good for light base rank 4 decks, since so that opens up a little bit more there. And then this can be useful if you're playing with a lot of like banished level 4 lower monsters. So maybe the Metaphys, although I'm not sure how easy it is for Metaphys to go into something like this. And then a Hashima is going to be useful for when if the Sprite Elf gets banned, if the list for sprites ever becomes more like the TCG, where Ronin is banned, Totally Awesome is off the list, and like Sprite Elf is banned, pretty much. Like, this is gonna be like the next best way to go into Totally Awesome. But I'm not sure which way I prefer it. I guess it's nice like having a different list for the TCG, different way to play the Sprite Frog deck for the TCG versus here. And I got used to it both ways. And then a few of the Bujin cards, these are pretty much only useful if you're actually playing the Bujins. Yeah, so there's that. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go into a scenario for the thing I would be on the next Ally of Justice, which is like the Genex gate that's kind of within that Solomo gate section. So yeah, I think instead I'm just gonna go into the pack. But first of all, thank you everyone who stayed for any of the sections. I know I didn't do as much Solomo because I want to talk about other things relating to the Duelist Cup Aftermath, and also like of course the Bible I always do, the Bible verse thing I always do. So hopefully you guys still enjoy nonetheless that one scenario for the Let's Play, because I always want to at least include some Solomo content within these videos. But yeah, thank you to whatever sections you did stay for. I hope you enjoyed. I'll be going over the verse discussion in a little bit. I'll go over that now, actually. So, I'm pretty much done with the solo mode and all the main stuff. I'll be doing a legacy pack after the Bible verse, so if you want to stay for that or the Bible verse discussion, you can feel free to stay for a bit longer. If not, I hope you have a good rest of your day whenever you're watching this, and I hope you remember to like, share, and subscribe. Okay, so here's the verse once again. The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in him, and he helps me. My heart leaps for joy, and with my song I praise him. Psalms 28:7 as a reminder. So, I would say what this means to me is that since the Lord is there as our protector, that we don't need to rely on our own strength, and most of the time it's better to just rely on his strength anyway. And sometimes it's hard to forget, but that's why we have verses like these to help remind us. And a good way to help remind us is by worshiping him, as it says in the second part. So, yeah, and a good way to help worship him, to help more easily like remind yourself to worship him, is by watching sermons, reading the Bible even. Yeah, and then you can use that to maybe spread the word to others, like maybe have more courage for stuff like that. It's also, I think, useful for praying for specific needs, because even if he knows what you need, sometimes you want to still pray for specific needs to better just remind yourself, more to just remind yourself of like what you need to work on. Anyway, if anyone has any other thoughts on the verse, feel free to leave them down in the comments. At some point, I'll have that pinned comment in where where you can just have an easy place to talk about the verse. Otherwise, if someone starts it up by talking about this specific verse, I'll be sure to pin that as the start of the discussion. Okay, let's go into the pack opening real quick. Actually, I don't know if I have time for the pack opening, so yeah, I'm just gonna, I guess I could do the pack opening. If a little bit gets cut, that's okay, because I do say the kind of like the same intro style thing at the end too. I'm not really probably not going to talk about the cards very much. That's a cool artwork at least. But yeah, I don't think there's much of note. I didn't get the Ninja Shadow Mosquito yet, which is a little unfortunate. And these two special super rare cards I'm probably not going to be playing very much. Though this one might be useful in some decks that like to have like be saying a lot of spells and traps, maybe. Some kind of deck if they don't already have like a field spell. But yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this pack opening. If anyone would like to talk about any of these cards or just the pack opening as a whole, feel free. I thank you to everyone who stayed for the pack opening of the verse. Bye.